Today on the Two Limes and a Lemon podcast, we're taking a trip to our rich friend's winter lodge as we trauma bond over his missing twin sisters, who we had a hand in their disappearance after a cruel prank gone wrong. Oh wait, no, that was the Until Dawn film we should have gotten. We're going to talk about a film of a pack of 5 good-looking Gen Zers who are in this Groundhog's Day-esque time loop trying to stay alive against the looming threat of methodical mass killers, oxygen-huffing witches, and water that makes you explode, as we start our series of Left on the D-Pad films with 2025's Until Dawn. Is it just start with us talking?
Yeah, Dave's gonna do us some, like, a jingle, I think.
Dave.
Nah.
Danielle.
Two Limes and a Lemon.
So let's start off the day right with what we've been consuming. This can be either media, film, movies, books, whatever, or even food. Like what's you've been consumed by this week?
Okay, well, I will go with the Barbie movie. We both watched it yesterday.
Was it your first time?
It was my first time, and it will be my only time. I'm all for women empowerment, but you don't have to empower women by making men look like terrible people. Like, that's all I got from that movie. All the reviews I saw were like, oh, it's great. It, like, obviously there's the whole Barbie and Oppenheimer thing. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I loved it.
No. I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I'm like, the only, like, example I can give is Ken obviously goes out into the real world. He finds that he likes things like cowboys and horses, and that's fine for people to like those things. And then he brings that back to Barbie Land, and then they're basically like, no, you have to like something else. But that's, if it was the role reversal and Barbie had gone out and found whatever she liked and come back, everyone would be like, well, you have to let her because it's Barbie. But I don't know. I just didn't like how it was handled.
Well, I thought it was because Ken came from this, because, you know, Barbie's world is all dominated by Barbie, so it's sort of like female-centric. And so Ken goes out into the real world and realizes in the real world, it's sort of, the roles are reversed and men are sort of the dominant culture. And so he brings that back and doesn't quite understand it.
But it should have been at the end of the movie, they came to like an equilibrium of they can both be powerful. How did you see it, Dave? Obviously, you only saw it yesterday.
I can't really say because it's all about women empowerment. So, as a man, I can't have an opinion. No, I think a bit harsh there now. I feel like Ken didn't just go out and find horses and bring that back. He found the patriarchy and found that men were kind of in charge. And he brought that back and took over the Barbie-verse with it. I do agree that there should have been some sort of like coming together and actually let's work together to make Barbie Land what it should be kind of thing and be equal for everyone and not just have one dominant sex to be in charge.
I think maybe instead they went with the idea that Barbie didn't want that anymore, didn't want this world that was only catering to her, and she wanted to be real. And so Barbie joins the real world in the end, where, you know, with all of its flaws and whatever, it's not this perfectly crafted world for her anymore. So for my what I've been consuming this week, I took a little double feature movie day. I took a day off work, and I saw Weapons and Naked Gun, which is a very contrasting sort of double feature, and I enjoyed both in different ways. But Weapons, I really recommend people who are horror films, especially people that enjoyed the movie Barbarian that came out, was it 2 years ago? Go see it. It's excellent. I preferred Weapons over Naked Gun. Naked Gun was a lot of fun though. You don't see those types of comedy films anymore. It's a very broad comedy, and I think because of that, I grew up with Airplane and the original Naked Gun, and there were like a bunch of those kind of comedies when I was younger, and I think the audience, granted I saw it in the middle of the day, so like it wasn't like a packed house of people. There were probably like 20 people in the theater. But it was very like sporadic laughing at first, like, oh, I don't know if I'm supposed to laugh at this. It was never like the entire room in a riot, which is, from the trailer, I was kind of expecting that. And so I think I voted, I downgraded a little bit because of that, but it's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Okay, so let's move on. Today we're starting with our next series of films, and we're calling this series Left on the D-Pad. We're going to be doing video games that are turned into movies. The three of us are all gamers in some respect. Both of you have been playing games much longer than I have.
No, you're a hardcore gamer, Daniele.
Except if you put a car in the game, and then I'm completely at a loss. I don't know what to... Cars and guns and games, I'm really bad.
That's like two of the big things in games.
I know.
No. To be fair to Danielle, me and you finished It Takes Two. I'm like, we flew by that. We did this. We did that. So I would say, I think It Takes Two was a You
have a very kind memory of that, because I remember a lot of times me double jumping and not... Oh, you know what? No, I'm remembering more. What was the one? The Unraveled. That one was a bit of torture to play.
However, the first game we played together was Dead Island, and that was like your first experience of driving a car in that game. And I remember us all just getting out and walking, and we were like, "We'll see you at the top, Danielle."
We were just doing an Austin Powers kind of reversing back.
I remember
forward,
we were going up like a mountain, and it was just like awful. Bless you. You're much better now.
I got the car, the truck or whatever we were in, turned completely like parallel to the road, and then I couldn't move it. I don't know how I did it.
If you tried to do it, you wouldn't be able to.
I will say there's a very cozy, fun game. What's it called, Nat? The one where you're the postal worker.
Oh,
the substitute.
It's called Lake.
Lake.
Yeah.
It's so nice. You just drive a postal van around this lake and you deliver packages. I've tried it twice and had to stop because I get so frustrating having to drive through the whole thing.
But
it's like open road.
It is open road. There's like barely anything to crash into.
No, I know, but I'll get caught up somewhere, and I'm just like, this is too stressful. This game is too stressful.
It's like a cozy, peaceful game. The most stressful thing about that is that there's only like 3 songs on the radio, and they just go on a loop.
Well, if they do Lake as a film sometime, we'll definitely have to review it. But today we're going to start with a game turned to movie that I think all three of us have a lot of love for and a lot of good memories for. 2015's Until Dawn. Until Dawn was put out by Supermassive Games, which are a studio that puts out a number of these like motion capture, story-driven, choice-driven games. Until Dawn was their first, I think, and the biggest of it. And then they put out a series, Dark Pictures Anthology, so it was like a different story each time. And then 2 years ago, I think they put out something called The Quarry. And then last year, they did the casting of Frank Stone, which was related to another video game called
Dead by Daylight.
Dead Before Daylight. Dead by Daylight.
We did play that, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
Okay, we're quite a big fan of these type of games.
Yeah, I know. I think we've played all of these games, and groups of us have played them in different ways together.
I remember when it came out, I was excited because it had Brett Dalton in it, who was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time. And I was like, oh, wow.
Who was that?
He plays Mike.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know that one.
Oh, yeah, he was like quite big at the time, not so much now, but back in 2015 he definitely was.
Oh, and then this was the first game that I actually played on PlayStation. I had, when I was a kid, we had like the old Atari, and then I got a Nintendo.
That's a big jump. That's a huge Atari to PlayStation 4.
No. I got like my cousins. I got my cousins used Nintendo because I got the first generation Nintendo, but years after it was like popular, and I had that in my college apartment, and me and my roommate were obsessed with playing Tetris, and we would like get to the end screen score, and we would like try and beat each other on what the score was, and we'd put like a little post-it note. Like if the other person wasn't there, you're like, this was my high score on the TV. years later, when I was living in San Francisco, my roommate was a bit of a gamer. She played PC games, but would have a friend who came over and would bring her console, and then we'd all kind of like sit around as she played like a horror game. But I never wanted to do it because the PlayStation controller looked so confusing to me if you consider what like the Atari controller and the original Nintendo controllers look like.
See, I thought the Nintendo 64 controllers were like a bit mad because they've got like 3 places where you can hold it. They've got the joystick, you've got a D-pad, you've got these little arrows, you've got A and B, you've got triggers and everything like that. I always used to look at that and just be like...
Yeah, I mean, I still look at that and think that now because I never had a Nintendo, so I'm like, that looks mental.
It's a mad controller.
Yeah. Well, I went straight from a Spectrum to a PlayStation 1. That was, and then since...
I don't even know what a Spectrum is.
It's like really old. It's just like a keyboard. You used to put like the games were on like video, like not video cassettes, like tape cassettes. They used to take like half an hour to load up. It was like ridiculous. And then we went from that to the PlayStation 1. So for me, it was like a massive jump.
One set of games that I used to like to play a lot, and I'm curious if other people did, because I think it has a through line to the type of game that Until Dawn is, which is PC CD-ROM games. Did anybody else play those?
Well, like point and click.
Oh, I had Discworld. That's a point and click, but I had that on the PlayStation.
There were these Sierra games that there was one that was like a girl gets possessed or like goes missing in a museum and you have to go through the museum and point and click. I can't remember what those were called, but I think that my love of that kind of game translates nicely to this game where you take on the role of different characters, you're walking through the room and picking up and kind of investigating things and initiating conversations.
I guess that's the next kind of point and click kind of style if you want to see it as it jumping and going with the time. Like you're playing these different characters, you're just investigating, and it's all like, because those games in the past, like Broken Sword, were almost like little movies and stuff that you used to watch. And you just point and click and then watch the cutscene and figure out the puzzle. I guess with this one it's more just see if these characters can survive this horror film essentially, and then you're the kind of pulling the reins on it all.
It's kind of like the natural successor to like the books of like choose your own adventure books. And that's what I used to love when I was younger. Like I would always get those from the library, and then this kind of placates that interest. Basically, it is basically a choose your own adventure.
They've got this whole system in the Until Dawn game with the butterfly effect, and it's so, as we talked about last week in Jurassic Park, the butterfly effect is one little action can have these huge effects elsewhere. And so every choice you make in this game is going to affect how the game goes. So potentially you could have like a different game playing experience every time. The thing I'm the worst at in these games there are a number of quick time events.
However, the opposite of that is they have these don't move ones where you have to hold the controller. They're actually harder for me than the quick time events.
Or like go along with the heartbeat. Like you have to press
the
X,
rhythm ones.
X.
Yes, they are really hard.
Don't give that to Danielle. There's my character. They're dead. Right, never mind. Moving on.
I rest it against my body now so that it doesn't move. Like I try and trick it a little bit. But I've realized that the circle and square, which are the two on the side symbols, are the ones like in a stressful situation. I always hit the wrong one. I got to the final confrontation with like 3 or 4 of them, and there was like something flammable thrown
and you had to flick the light switch and it did the gas.
Yes. And so the only character that lived was the sort of bitchy girl character.
Oh, Emily. What I would say is the game is very strict that if you pick a bad option, it has already auto-saved as soon as you push that button. So you can't actually reload to pick a better option, which is very harsh, but it does make you be more careful with your choices.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those games where you have to pay attention.
Yeah.
If you want to try and get everyone get through the end, then you've got to be like what am I going to say? 'Cause
Yeah.
sometimes, like, when we played it before, when it was like you play as different characters and stuff, and you get to pick. Sometimes, like, I would deliberately like. I'm looking at like with Nat. So so when I'm playing, playing with Nat and Jane or whatever, when we're sitting,
you're a troll.
Yes.
No, well, I'm like, well, let's not. Everyone can't be nice. Let's try to make someone a bit of a like horrible person, and then the devil looks that you get.
So I'm going to give an example of this. We were playing The Quarry, and Dave was in charge of a character that had got to like a safe place on an island in the middle of the lake, and there was literally nothing that could happen to him. And what option did he pick? Oh, I'm going to swim across the lake and come back to the shore.
No.
And literally he gets out on the dock and he gets killed instantly. It's like, why didn't you just stay on the island? Because you were safe.
I think I did pretty good at The Quarry, but there were less QuickTime events in that one, or they were slower. They were slower QuickTime events.
No.
Or you put it on easy.
I didn't know. I don't think there's.
I don't think they have settings, do they?
Fair, I do put a lot of games on easy because I'm not battling anybody. I'm doing it for my own enjoyment to be calm. I don't need to be doing like
you ain't got to prove yourself.
Lethal level. Yeah.
I always feel that Nat, you need a bit more confidence when it comes to playing more difficult or harder challenged areas in the game. If there's like a normal bit, you're like, yeah, I'll go with normal, but it's hard to push you to go, let's do advanced. Or
we were playing theatre of him yesterday, and he was like, we need to do on ultimate, and we were barely getting through on like expert, and he's like, no, we need to do on ultimate.
Yeah, we're digressing anyway. Until Dawn, the film, so it's changed a lot, right?
It's a bit puzzling why they decided to go with a completely unrelated and kind of retrofitted fit into this universe story, rather than taking which is pretty widely considered a good story and plot and completely deviate from that. And the thing that I read up on is the director, a guy named David Sandberg, who is previously known for doing Lights Out and then a bunch of the Annabelle Creation and the Shazam movies.
The director, he did Lights Out, right? So he also did like I remember watching those of his YouTube shorts ages ago. So he started off making like just YouTube videos with his partner for them to used to just make little horror shorts all the time, and then obviously he springboarded and people started to see his work because I really liked his YouTube shorts, his horror stuff, and then obviously they were like, oh, let's try and turn that into a feature film. I think he's got elements where in his films where there's scary moments. But I think as a storytelling thing, I don't know if he's got. I guess he's still learning and developing those skills just to make it into a 90-minute kind of area. Because I think that's where he struggles with. He's got all these cool ideas of like horror and stuff like that, but I think he just fleshing that out to make a solid horror film that's like 90 minutes long.
It's been a while since I saw Lights Out. I remember really liking Lights Out, but I would say something like Annabelle Creation and even this to a certain extent are very muted horror. Like they're
not really
they're
horror films. Honestly,
yeah, they fit into a certain convention.
Yeah,
they're not really.
That's why I'm really surprised
horror.
with him, because like his shorts are so original, they're so like unique, and they're spine tingling and they're scary and they're really interesting. It's just shame that for some reason they're not pushing out to the features, and I'm not seeing that creativity elsewhere in his actual like film work where people are going to go buy a cinema ticket to see it.
Like, it boggles my mind that PlayStation, who, made a lot of money on this game, and enough that last year they also did a remake, like a remaster of the game, and with some added scenes and like remastering the graphics to suit PlayStation 5, that they wouldn't want to see that IP,
I mean, even if they didn't do exactly the same story as the game, they could have still had it set in the same location. There could have been so many more Easter eggs to the game. Like, there's like 3 or 4 Easter eggs, really. When I was looking through the trivia of like what Easter eggs are there that are nods towards the game, they're very few. So even if the setting had been on the mountain with a cable car, even that I feel would have been like enough of a nod to be like, oh, we're still in the same like universe. But because you had it just a generic cabin in the woods, we've all seen that done 100 times, it didn't give you that sense of like isolation, that although they had like the force field in the woods so they couldn't get through, the isolation that you felt when you were playing the game up in a snowy mountain where you couldn't see anything was so much more vivid than just like, it was like
it was more believable, right?
Yeah, that you
it was more because it was like they're lost and stuck out there in the snow, and they can't
it's not like there's like
dawn.
it wasn't really like there was a mystical presence that was keeping them there. It was just the fact that they're stuck on a mountain, like they physically can't get off the mountain. So I feel like, and also the Peter Stormare character, obviously as the audience of the game, only we saw that character, and then it was like he's now in the world with the people that are dying. Like that, to me, I didn't like that. I wanted him to be kind of kept apart because I think that gave his character more mystery.
The game also had this Wendigo plot to it as well, and I think they could have gone to whatever place that was.
Yeah, and just been fighting Wendigos. Rather than the time loop thing. Obviously, that's the big party piece of this movie, that they're stuck in a time loop and they keep dying. They've only got a certain amount of deaths they can do before they're like part of the world forever.
I really enjoyed the film. I'd say really enjoyed. The midway point when they start looking at the phone and looking at all the deaths, that's when I started to be a bit like, oh, okay, you're losing me now. But all up into that point, I was like, you know what? I was like, what am I, in my head, I was like, what am I expecting for this film? Because if it's just going to be a carbon copy of what I've already played, then I might as well play the game and I'll be disinterested. I think you're right in this, there's bits when it was a bit like, oh, they could have just neatened up some of these little bits to make it a bit more like, oh, okay, this is a bit more like the game, like the location and stuff like that. But I think the idea, what I took from it was like, oh, the time loop thing is because there's so many ways you can die in the game. They're trying to implement that into the film by saying, look at all the many times these people have been killed. That's
but
why I
there's
saw
consequences in the game. If you get a character killed in the game, they're not.
Yeah, there's like finality to it.
Alive.
But I know, but that's why I'm saying with this film, they've gone like, oh, okay, well, we'll just do. There's so many deaths in the game. So we'll just do. Everyone can die in different ways, and it doesn't really matter unless it's the final kind of thing. And they obviously just took elements from the game, like the killer, the Wendigos, and I don't know, some witch character or something. That was really weird. But I kind of was like, you know what? It's called Until Dawn. It's not really about the game completely, but as a film, I'm enjoying it just as it is.
I think if they had called it anything else, it would probably gone up a few points in my book.
Yeah, I remember Nat, you texted me saying, have you seen the bathroom scene yet? So I was expecting some kind of like killer in the bathroom kind of thing. And then I saw the water getting passed around. I was like, right, okay, something's going on.
And then systematically, all of them just start completely exploding. So they establish that drinking water in this universe makes you explode.
I think that was just like, I guess it was trying to set the tone of like, don't take this seriously. We're just going to go a bit mad with this now and like, just enjoy it if you can.
One thing I wondered is, it all kicks off when, I think her name is Nina, signs the ledger book. Now, why would you do that? Why would you sign the guest book in this creepy cabin that you've just, like, happened upon in the woods?
I didn't know. I'm like, you're not even a guest. It could have all been
prevented. Especially after you page through it and you see, there's just, like, pages of, like, people's signature turning into scrawl. I would have no I'm not signing guest books randomly. It wouldn't have started if I were in this situation. Although, I guess you have 5 friends. Some other dummy is going to go up and go, oh, I'm going to sign my name.
Looking at you, Dave.
I'm going to sign my name. Yeah. What kind of... I'm definitely the character that just gets everyone killed. Oh, no. No, I'm the character... In this situation, this is what happens. It's like a minute until the timer's done. We're just about to make it. Suddenly, the killer gets in, kills Danielle, just about to kill Nat.
Oh,
Nat's first. Nat's looking at me like, you have to die as well, otherwise no one comes back. I go, yeah, of course. Nat gets killed. I just run out the door.
Yeah, Dave just leaves. 100%. Oh, because,
Sorry.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I wanted to ask everybody about this because they established somewhere midway through that, like, when everybody dies, the cycle resets. And so they're in a cycle where I think just one of them has died. And the other 4 are like, no, we have to kill it. We all have to die now to start it over again. And one character is like, do we? And I wondered how would you guys, like, I feel like I would be practical because, like, you can't, like, you're in a very weird, creepy situation. There's no guarantee that the rules are the way that you've thought that they were, or the way this weird, creepy psychiatrist told you before you were going to explode on the floor.
I don't know. This is the real answer. I don't know.
Like, I guess we know how Dave would.
No, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Dave, are you resetting?
Depending who's left.
If it's someone he really likes.
I'll be like, what did they add to society? Are we talking about us? No, are we talking about us 3 or anybody else? Or are we just do?
It's a group of 5, so we're 3 of them, and there's 2 others.
So Nat's running as well then.
Bye.
Yeah, like I would run too.
See, I'm not.
There you go, guys. Don't get in a weird situation with us lot, because we'll leave.
Horror.
I mean, I would like to say, I'd like to say that Natalie and I didn't put like a condition to it. We were like, well, if somebody I really like has died, maybe I'll do it.
Yeah, maybe I'll drink the water.
So somewhere between cycle 5 and cycle 13, where they're missing all this time, the psychic girl gets taken by the psychiatrist, and she's like strapped up in this like old mental asylum chair with like a Wendigo, which they've established somewhere along the line. They learned that, like, if you're left too long in the time loop, you become a Wendigo. But I guess also you can become a witch.
But it is still to do with the miners.
Are they both Wendigos? Yeah.
Which is that like a trope in games now? Like, obviously, Silent Hill is like a mining town that has all gone wrong, and now this is like a mining town where it's all gone wrong.
It's like Lord of the Rings did it first.
Yeah.
They dug too deep. The Balrog came out. Everyone's taking that trope way too literal. I feel like the director was like, I just want all these cool little deaths and stuff. I don't want to do the build up for this anymore. Let's just show them really quick. I like the one with the tall man. I saw how they did that behind the scenes. So that was shot in 2 different sets. So they shot that like handheld or whatever. When they did like a quick cut, and in the cut and the edit, they cut to a smaller room, and then obviously the big guy comes out, kind of thing. So they tried to make it like a dual thing. But I think he had some nice ideas. He had some cool, like, I want to do all these wacky death stuff. But I think that's where the only thing it lost it was the plot. They just sacrificed the plot and I guess characters as well.
And character development.
Yeah, it was all just tropes.
Didn't really care about them.
Yeah, like if you can't remember their names, they're not that interesting.
Yeah, there's the main character. So the reason that these 5 kids are like on this trip is because her mother died, and then her sister went away and disappeared. Oh, and the reason that they end up in this cabin is because, you know, another horror trope, when you're driving in the middle of the woods, there's this like shady, creepy general store that has like redneck locals in it. She goes in, and it's a very modernized store on the inside, so it looks terrible on the outside, but it's very modern on the inside. And then the guy who later you realize is a psychiatrist, or for people who've played the game, realize it's the guy who was played the psychiatrist in the games.
Do you reckon that would have been good as just a little cameo?
Yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree.
I think so. If he'd have just kept the general store part and not become like the main antagonist of the film, I think it would have been a lot better.
I had another moment I wanted to ask you guys about that kind of took me out of it. So in one of the loops, 2 of the characters decide they're going to run out through the rain. So they're, again, like Natalie said, there's this wall between the world that they've got stuck in the time loop and the real world, and it's like rainy out there. And they run out there, and there's like a a massive giant shadow, maybe Wendigo.
Oh, is it meant to be a
Out there
Wendigo? I know it's a giant.
I don't know.
It wasn't very good.
It's the little kid that got trapped there. He turned into a massive monster.
Mate. Yeah, it reminded me of that old film Troll Hunter or whatever it was. Was it Troll?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it sort of reminded me of.
That's made me wonder, like, are there different things you can turn into? Because at one point, the psychic girl wakes up in one of the loops, and she was like, does anybody else have extra teeth?
Oh, yeah.
And so I thought, oh, somebody's going to become...
I thought she was just going to become
kind of
a Wendigo. I thought she was just transforming into that.
Oh. I found a cutscene on YouTube, and there was a scene where the guy the video that we watched of the guy who slowly becomes a Wendigo on the VHS
The
tape,
miner, yeah.
he shows up when they're down in the basement and comes in, and he turns into a werewolf.
Oh.
So I think maybe they did have these elements because they have a character who's clearly considered a witch.
What did everybody think of the Wendigo, like, design of how they look? Because I remember in one of my past What Have You Been Consuming, obviously I said about this film, and that I didn't like the style of the Wendigos. But what was you guys' thoughts on it now that you've seen it?
I think they were right. I think they went for the prosthetic route. I reckon a bit of CGI, kind of creepy spider legs climbing up the wall would have been a bit nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
Make it a bit more like supernatural with the editing, rather than just do like people in costumes charging at you and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to make them maybe taller or something more.
Yeah. Like elongated.
Gangly and
yeah,
something like that would have been really cool.
Yeah, I think that the creature that they made, like you brought up, Dave, the coolest sort of like otherworldly scary thing they had was that very tall guy that had to like fit through, like kind of contort himself to fit through the door, and that was just one of these scenes on the phone, like a throwaway thing.
Again, like the director, he's good at making those YouTube shorts and being creative in a short, condensed way. I feel like, that's his like little moments to be creative with a bit of a budget, and again, he's not allowed, or he hasn't pushed to try and do these nice, cool kind of thing. Because again, with the witch and stuff, it's so stereotypical. It wasn't scary. It was all just kind of like dolls. No. And I'm just like, you waste. Like, I'd rather have you spent the energy on that weird tall man coming through because that would have been creepy, like chasing us down the corridor or something like that. Wherever you went with some witch putting gas masks on you. And...
I didn't really understand that scene, honestly. She obviously told her the fact that if you die a certain amount of times, or if you die too many times, then you're gonna become it. But apart from that, she didn't really serve a purpose.
I did like the how she kills the psychiatrist guy with the sees a drip. Oh. It's kind of like this sort of like he's doing the evil bad guy monologue, and like she looks up and there's a little drip going down onto the table, and she's like, he's left his mug of coffee here. And it's kind of like this sort of like, comedy kind of, while I was looking away, I'll move the cup and get some drips in there and then give it back to him because he'll explode if he drinks this. And in my head I was like, he's going to find out or something, but he was like, no, we just guzzled it down. Did a one line of like,
and then exploded.
You're going to die, or maybe you will instead. And then, I was like,
see, I didn't like that. I think it made him weak. And it's like, if he's put all this together, silly. I don't think he should have been like foiled by like exploding water.
Yeah, like leaving his cup down in a dirty place.
On his desk when the drips are going down, you do get to see Rami Malek in his folder.
Since this is a horror film and has like a lot of like fun horror scenes, does anybody have a favorite scene or even like a favorite kill?
Favorite scene was just the bathroom scene, honestly. It's the one that actually sticks in my mind. So I'm just going to say the bathroom scene. It was unexpected, and I felt that it was well handled.
I'm going to say, I'm going to go with that tall man scene when they're on the phone. We'd like to see
a spin-off of the Tall Man.
The Tall Man, the film. He's trying on these new shoes. Do they fit? Nobody knows.
I'm also going to go with the bathroom scene, but I'm going to tie it. I liked how they brought it back around at the end whenever she tricks the guy into drinking the coffee. So it wasn't just like the most clever scene in the film. There was a callback later. which callbacks always amuse me.
You're like, yes.
Yes.
That wraps up our discussion. How's everybody going to rate
Are we
this?
going to rate the movie and the game?
Yeah, we can do that. That sounds like a good idea.
Okay. For the game, I gave it 5 limes. And for the movie, I gave it 2.5. If it hadn't had the name Until Dawn, I reckon that would probably been boosted up to a 3.
I'll give the game a 3. Yeah, it's just a good game, but it's not like a... I like those games. I don't like them as much as you guys, if that makes sense.
Okay. What's a 5 game to you? What's a 5 rating game for you?
Elden Ring, Dark Souls. A game that's hard for me to get through. And I'd give the film, the same. I'll give it a 3 as well.
So I'm gonna completely echo Natalie's scores. I'm giving the game a 5. The game is right up my alley of the type of games that I like. And then I will also echo your sentiment that, this is a perfectly serviceable, pop horror film. I would have given it 3 if it didn't have the Until Dawn name attached to it. But because it does, I'm knocking it down to 2.5. So join us next week for 2 Limes and a Lemon podcast. Until then, goodbye from me and...
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye.
You guys?
Goodbye from me.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.